coming on to our second and the final segment, which is all about English cricket. So we're going to be talking about, we haven't really spoken a lot about Stokes, Ben Stokes and Rob Key. It's Ben Stokes as captain, Rob Key as managing director. The differences there's going to be. So we're going to talk about that a lot. Also, who we expect to see in the squad and in the final 11 for the test. I think it's New Zealand tests that are coming up first, and additionally, how are we going to make Test cricket? It's widely known Test cricket sort of slightly dwindling in popularity, especially among younger people. How are we going to sort of kick that off and increase the popularity? We've seen the 100 being advertised quite a bit. We've seen like ODI, T20 matches, Vitality Blast, all these things being advertised. How are we going to get Test cricket on that level and get it popular among younger people, which is just another thing to think about. So it's just basically English cricket in general. Let's start with Ben Stokes being named as captain. We're on the Complete Cricket podcast. I think we've mentioned clearly that we think that I think that Stokes was the main choice, and Broad could have been possible a couple of like year cover to give Ben Stokes time. But Ben Stokes, as always, is ready up for the challenge. So we don't know what really to expect because he hasn't captained very much in Test cricket. Zaid, what would be the one key difference between Joe Root and Ben Stokes in terms of their captaincy?
Yeah, for me, it's gotta be I think Root is just I didn't think he was a very good captain. I think he did so much. He was a good captain, but just at the end there, he kind of just fell away a bit. And I think the main difference for me, I think Ben Stokes, he's kind of he's more intense, really. He'll go out there, he'll give everything he's got, and he'll in the dressing room, even when Root was captain, everyone was looking at Ben Stokes as well. Both of them. Everyone was like, if Stokes starts talking, everyone's going to be listening, and he's just kind of that role model. I think Ben Stokes. I think he has everyone still remembers. I don't think anyone's going to forget 2019 in the World Cup and the Ashes. And so I think the main difference for me, I think Ben Stokes, he's more of a role model for me to everyone else than Root, and I think he's just a bit more intense. He's more an intense leader than Root.
Cool. Did you could elaborate more on you mentioned that Root wasn't a very good captain. Like for people who haven't really followed Test cricket very much, what would you say, if even in the last year or even before, what would you say the main aspects of Root's Test captaincy that you'd question, the things that you criticize him for?
Yeah, I would look at it as some of the decisions he's made on field. Some even off field as well. On field decisions, some of them haven't been very good, but the main thing really has been selection. A lot of selection. Problems with Broad Anderson. Where have they gone? West Indies tour, they were nowhere. We didn't see them. I don't understand why. And then Root, even in the Ashes, he made some really weird decisions and a lot of things that people were questioning. And I think Root kind of just got you can blame Root, but you can't really blame Root in the same way, in the sense that he gave so much to Test cricket over the years as being captain, and then it's just kind of the last year. Maybe it just got to him that maybe it's going a bit too much. With all those batting collapses, all the batting problems that England have had, he was a major part of that, and he was a major he was a man to go to in terms of batting. He had to steady the ship. So I think maybe the captaincy just got a bit too much for him. But I think the main bits of him was just a lot of the decisions he made on field and with selection.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's selection for me, different. Joe Root he's not stupid. He's tactically astute, but he didn't really show that. And then a lot of the decisions he made could have really, if he made the correct decision or what was the best decision, we could have actually won a few more Test matches in Australia, for example, and it could have really it would have brightened up the view, and he possibly could have been captain still. But anyway, that's an end of an era. We can't really. We just, there's not really much point in focusing. We've spoken a lot about Joe Root's captain and things like that. The focus more on Stokes and what to expect, really. And yeah, I think in terms of obviously on the field, Stokes is a respected figure, and he's known he can perform with the bat, he can perform with the ball, he fields really well, so he's good at everything. You need a captain who can be disciplined and show that he's good at all three elements, so that he gets respect with his peers and the other players in the team. But off the field as well, in terms of selling Test cricket as such, there's been a lot of talk about how are we going to get more people watching Test cricket in England. Things like county championship, how we can get more people. Obviously the interest with younger people is more like T20 Blast, the 100, even T10s and stuff like that. There's so many short formats. How we get people interested in the longer game. I think Ben Stokes is your perfect person to sell it to people. After his innings, 135 not out, you still see it on Sky Sports so often. It's still talked about by people. It's something that even people who aren't cricket fans even know. Like it's such a significant thing. It's so well ingrained in people's memories that Ben Stokes. When people think of Ben Stokes, they immediately think of Test cricket. They think of Headingley. They think of the World Cup. So he is a perfect role model, I think, and I think that he can really sell the game to people, especially younger people, and just generally people who aren't cricket fans. Would you say the same, Zaid, or would you say that he actually? How good do you think how good do you think he is at like promoting Test cricket?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's an excellent role model. Like, as he said, a lot, even non-cricket fans, they know who he is, and they know all about the Ashes and the World Cup and what Ben Stokes did there, and everyone knows about it. So I think he's an excellent role model. He's well respected everywhere he goes, and I think just the person he is, really. Even Root as well. They were both great people, but I think Stokes, he's an excellent role model. I think he'll be able to sell Test cricket, as he said. I think he'll be able to do it very well.
Cool. Obviously, this is all good and well. He could sell Test cricket. He's very respected. But in the end, what every cricket fan, England cricket fan, wants is performances levels to go up. In terms of selection, who do you think he's going to be putting as? Who do you think he's going to be favouring? Will there be any change? Will there be people who've been like not been in the main fold that with Root that towards the end of his captaincy that might come back into the fold? Is there anyone you could specific names that you'd say?
I'm not sure about specific names, but someone like Broad Anderson, I think those two players, one of them has got to come back, really. Like at least one of them. When they go overseas, one of them's got to be there. When they're in England, maybe even both of them, just for this year at least. Obviously you've got to phase them out eventually, but you just, I think Stokes. Well, I'm not sure if he wants them, but I think he's definitely got to look at bringing at least one of them back. But I just think Stokes will have a lot on his mind at the moment, and something, yeah, something that you've got to be careful about if you're Stokes is, can he keep his own performance levels like as it is now? Can he keep it up? That because it's difficult. You've got all that pressure of making decisions on the field. He's captain now, and and he's got to. It's difficult when you're an all-rounder as well. He bowls, he bats, he fields as well. He's an incredible fielder. So stuff with injuries as well. What if he gets injured? What happens if he gets injured? Who's captaining if he gets injured? So DCB and Stokes, they've all got to look at all of this, and they've got to be careful about how Stokes. They've got to continue like looking at Stokes. They've got to continue like monitoring him and making sure he's fit in every game, making sure he's doing okay mentally as well.
Mm. Yeah, fitness I think is really important as a bowler, batsman, and fielder. Now, Joe obviously batted primarily, and he did field obviously, but he wasn't. It wasn't a pace bowler, so he doesn't. He won't get. He won't. There's not really a risk of getting like hamstring injuries or anything. He was generally ever present. So I think that's something to consider as well. And also for me, I think another significant, a difference is that with under Ben Stokes and hopefully under Rob Key as the managing director, we're going to go on to him in a bit. We're going to see a lot more of putting our best team first. Like we're not going to hold, we're not going to do rest and rotation. Obviously, there will be, you can't, not no pace bowler might not be able to play 5 tests or 10 tests in a summer, all 10. They might be rested. But what I mean is that we're not going to have like a regular rest and rotation system. If someone is feeling tired or someone has an injury, we rest them, we get them back to full health. Otherwise, we play our best team every single test. And I think that's what in order to improve performances, that's 100% what we need to do. If we start bringing rotating people after one test just because we think there could be a possible injury in the future that hasn't shown up yet, we're never going to win anything. And that's something that's really, really, really significant. Like Rob Key himself has also spoken that he doesn't really, not a fan of the rest and rotation system. And I'm not a fan of it either. And I think, honestly, if Broad and Anderson are bowling really well, taking loads of wickets in county championships, and it's the English summer, we've got to play both of them. And if they do well for three, if it's 5 tests and we play them for three, so what? If we play them for 4, if they're doing well and they're fit and healthy, then we have to play them because they're going to give us our best chance of taking wickets. What are your views on the rest and rotation system?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't like it either. Like, rest and rotation, you've got to play your best 11 every single game. Deal with injuries if it comes. There's no point um, if you think an injury might happen, there's always a chance it won't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it's just a waste of time. Really, it's just a waste of a player. You just not play them because you think they might get injured. So I don't like the rest and rotation thing. I just think it's kind of like you've got to even for viewers really you want everyone wants to see a cracking cricket match, especially in test cricket. You want to see the best players playing, and you want to see the best, like their best possible 11 every single game. Like you deal with injuries when it comes. All cricket players go through injuries, but I don't like the rest and rotation thing. You just got to keep with your top players. If someone's doing well, keep them in the team. There's no point resting them. So I think just got to go with your top players.
Yeah. Now I think we'll go on to Rob Key. We talked about his views on rest and rotation. We're still missing a head coach, and that's something that's still on people's minds. Still, will 100% be on Rob Key and Ben Stokes' mind. We know it's going to be, well, we have a good indication that it's going to be a split for white ball and red ball. If you could pick head coaches, who would you pick as your white ball head coach, and who would you pick as your red ball head coach?
That's a really difficult one. I'm not it's difficult. You have contenders. Someone maybe like Andrew Strauss, perhaps. You've got I'm not really sure. I think Andrew Strauss is definitely a contender to be coached. But the main thing is you've got to have a coach that's like someone like Justin Langer. I think I mentioned a few episodes ago. Justin Langer. He came in when Australian cricket was at possibly its all-time low, and he brought them back up to competing against the best teams in the world and being able to beat them. So you need someone who's patient and they're able to restart something out of nothing. It's all good. It's in Test cricket. I mean, like in white ball cricket, you want someone who is able to continue what's already going on. So yes, I think someone like Andrew Strauss is a definite contender for the Red Bull side, maybe. But I'm not sure about others. But as I say, you've got to have someone like Justin Langer who can restart something out of nothing.
Yeah, you're right about Justin Langer. The key thing with him as well, he was very disciplined. He wanted certain things from the team and he wouldn't, compromise on them. If they did badly, he would tell them that they did badly. He wouldn't hide it. People, Joe Root, something that I noticed that I think, a lot of English fans didn't like in the Ashes series, every Ashes test we lost, even before that, every test we lost, we did very well, according to him. There's just small things. Eventually we'll get better. Eventually when, you've got to be realistic. If we do badly, we've got to do bad. We do badly, admit it. And then from then on we can, look at ourselves and actually get better. And that's something that Justin Langer did to the Australian team. And that's why they've become such they've always been a mighty force. But over the last couple of years as well, winning the T20 World Cup, the only cup they really hadn't won, and just being a very dominant team in all formats. And that's purely because Justin Langer as a coach was very strict on them. He wanted this, he wanted that. He wouldn't, if they did bad, they did bad. He didn't try to sugarcoat it as such. So we want a coach like him for the Red Bull team. Yeah, you're right. For the white ball team, there's not really much to do. You've just got to. We don't want to lose that slip we have on the white ball game. We're now second in ODI and T20 rankings, which is fine because obviously finished the World Cup and then now we're just playing normal ODIs. And same with T20s. We didn't win the T20 World Cup, but we want to be challenging to win every white ball World Cup. So we've got to keep up that performance levels and bring in, I think, more younger talents as well in the white ball teams just to give it a refresh, because obviously every team has cycles, and we don't want to be caught up where we've got a load of players retiring or playing badly in bad form, and then we need to quickly make a huge amount of change in the white ball format. So you just got to sustain what's going on so far, I think. So yeah, I think that's it for our episode today. Thank you, Zay, for being on the episode. There's a lot to hope for in English cricket, 100%. We 100% will have a lot to look forward to with the first test, English test, think it's June the 2nd. It's against New Zealand. That'll be interesting. New Zealand are typically a very good test team. They've got a load of young players as well as players who can score runs. Kane Williamson is back as well, and that's going to be a really good test. But we obviously there's not really much indication of who's going to be in the team, who's not, because it's just too far away now. It's nearly a month left, but there's a lot to look forward to. So hopefully we can get started with a couple of wins in Test cricket. One win in the last 17. You need to get rid of that, forget about all of that, and focus on from today, 0 from 0. We want to win tests and win them with our best team and win them in the right way with a good attitude, and winning it by dominating, not by scraping through as well. We want to dominate test matches. Anyway, that's it today. Thank you, Zaid, and see you on the next episode.